Tri-Partisan Canvas is a political organization that encourages civic engagement through creative expression, social activism, and voter education and registration here in the city of St. Petersburg. My name is Jalessa Blackshear. I was born and raised in Cape May, New Jersey. I came here in 2011. My dad is from St. Petersburg. He was born in St. Petersburg. My grandmother was born in St. Petersburg. My great-grandparents came here in the 40s from Georgia. And Mother Nature called on me to come here in the year 2011, and I've been here ever since. And then it took me a year, my first year, to realize people would treat me different. I usually gravitate toward like the Old Northeast because it reminds me of my hometown of Cape May, just with palm trees. And I realized after the first year, I'm like, oh, they treat me like this because I'm black. Oh, okay. And then I realized, I'm like, wow, like I had an epiphany. I'm like, oh, this is really the Jim Crow South. Like we learned about it in our textbooks. And that's where I became interested in learning about my history. When I mean my history, I mean my family's history here in the city of St. Petersburg. I decided to go back to school in 2016. I then attended St. Petersburg College, and I was influenced by my professors, Dr. Tara Newsom and Dr. Kimberly Jackson, who basically helped ignite the flame of civic engagement for me by taking me down to City Hall and having me participate in an open forum for the first time. And I just started to educate myself on racial barriers that exist in the city, and now get into the root of them, why they exist. It starts with the policy. In 1931, the municipal charter was founded in the city of St. Petersburg. It was codified. It was revised in 1971, and neither of those years were for my advancement, nor were my great-grandfather's. And then it comes back to, ideology. In 1923, former editor-in-chief of the St. Petersburg Times and current board member of the city planning, William B. Straub, said that we must, zone the Negro not by law, but by custom, so the Negro can't feel comfortable socializing. So you have these policies that are perpetuating poverty initially, and it's like, well, how did this become so? Because of the legislation. And within the policy, there's certain loopholes or nuances that allow the perpetuation to continue.
Were there specifically racist policies on the city charter and in other laws in the city of St. Petersburg?
Yeah, absolutely. There was an all-white primary clause in the charter. It got in there in 1931. It was deemed by the Supreme Court of the United States in 1944 unconstitutional, but it remained in the charter until 1971 when it was revised. Policy such as preventing blacks to swim at Spa Beach, that went to the Supreme Court, and still by custom, the police department here would shut down the beaches because of blacks wanting to swim, even though they had the constitutional right. And those are the shadows of Jim Crow that we still are inheriting today. The custom that is based from the Sundown Law, and that perpetuated to that blacks can't cross Central Avenue. The blacks are only allowed on the south side. That was the connotation. And for me, I guess where my drive comes from is because my family, they were one of few families that settled on the north side. So they're known as the North Side Crew in the neighborhood of Methodist Town.
Because of St. Pete's explicitly racist laws and policies, what do you think is an effective approach now to undo those wrongs?
Well, we have to pull the policy first. We have to acknowledge what is wrong, and then find the policy, pull it, and find the line items that make it be so as it is. People don't even realize how the districts are set up for gerrymandering. That's racist, so we really, if we really want to do it, we have to do it. We have to find the root, and certain things affect different people. So, I mean, you have policy that, all right, so for example, like for the Complete the Streets policy, 22nd Avenue South, it's in the policy, but it has not been prioritized. And that doesn't come from it being anti-racist policy. It comes from an administrator who is not putting it as priority. Why? Because you cannot complete streets that you don't walk through or represent people that you won't talk to. If I'm not affected by this, then I'm not going to stand up for it. And that's where the lack of civic engagement comes through. Because yet it's in the policy to complete 22nd Avenue South, but there's no one standing up for it. Versus on 9th Street, the streets are painted green. The bike lanes are. You know, on 22nd, we don't even have complete sidewalks. Now the priority is to create social platforms for engagement to educate people because people want to know. We have a legislative body who makes decisions for us weekly. We have an administration who makes decisions for us that impact us daily here in the city of St. Petersburg, and I think people need to know. So the role of Tri-Partisan Canvas is just to lead people who are eager to know more history to the resource, to the policy, to the meeting that's going on that involves your neighborhood.
I'm from St. Pete, but I do care that this city becomes a more equitable place for all races and for specifically Black people on the South Side who have been systematically disenfranchised by our city on purpose.
Right.
So how can I help right the wrongs of the past?
So Dr. Cornel West from Harvard University, he has this thing. He's like, if you want to fight social injustice, the first step is self-examination, kenosis, self-emptying. So I can't tell you what to do, but you being aware of your thoughts and taking responsibility for the past of your ancestry, acknowledging that, and knowing that there's inadequate infrastructure on a designated part of town, you know, and it's done purposely. So how can you change it? I mean, it's through the policy. And how can you change it? By electing officials who will speak for you.
What do you think about reparations on a city level?
I think it has to happen. I think it is mandatory. I think we are overdue. How does the city of St. Petersburg want to give equity back to the African Americans or to the descendants of the African Americans who built this city? That's the question. It's not hard. You can do it through something that's synonymous to a stimulus check monthly. You can do it through education by setting up certain accounts for children, or you could do it with housing. And housing seems to be the most priority because people need housing. And we have an agency that's supposed to help us, but yet because of the policy, it is perpetuating gentrification because there's nuances in the CRA that allow developers to come in and be incentivized for building these multifamily structures. I want a single family home, and I am a descendant of Charlie and Phyllis Blackshear, and I am owed my reparation from the city of St. Petersburg. My child is.
What is a CRA?
The Community Redevelopment Area. It's like a pot of money that usually is, the foundation is these tax increment funds, but the city is pouring millions of dollars on it, and so is the county. And the county is like, well, if we give you this money, then you have to do this, right? Because the counties get money from the state. But I think that's the pipeline for the reparation. Put it through the CRA agency, and the money is here. The money is here. The money's in the city, and it's in the county.